If my mother had money and my mother said to me when I was 23, here's R1 million, open that MadFit you've always wanted, I would have opened it. It would have lasted 1 month because I would never have knew what the hell to do. You know, people only work for you and work with you if you legit yourself.
And that was Mr. Matt Leisching. How's it, guys? Welcome to the Ideas Expanded podcast with myself, Darren James. It's great to have you here today for this awesome chat. Today I got to sit down with a long-time friend of mine, Matt. We've known each other since school days, a good 12 years or so, and been through some crazy times together. But in today's chat, I got to pick his brain on how he managed to turn his passion for boxing into a business and all the challenges he's faced along the way. Matt's co-founder and owner of MadFit Boxing and Muay Thai Gym in Cape Town, definitely the top gym in the Western Cape. And he really is a testament to the fact that with hard work and consistency, and by pushing through fears year by year, day by day, and pushing through that fear of what other people think of you, you really can achieve anything. We chat about all things boxing today, but besides that, overall the benefits of exercise, the mental benefits, and how the mindset of cultivating an exercise discipline like boxing really does overflow into your life and really does benefit you in multiple dimensions. It's a great chat. I took a lot away from it. There was things about Matt that I didn't even know that I learned in this chat with him, and I've known him for all the years. So I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. And if you don't know too much about boxing, there's still a lot to take away in this chat. So please let me know what you think. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast. It'll really be appreciated. And without further ado, let's get straight into that conversation. Enjoy, guys.
Hot boxing with Mike Tyson and then this NFL football player. It's amazing, bro. Then Tyson, they were like, they had Sugar Ray Leonard. Like, for me, he's the greatest fighter of all time. And now Mike Tyson, the reason why Tyson started fighting was because of Sugar Ray. And then so Sugar Ray's with him, and then he's like, Sugar, like, and he starts talking, and he's like, you were the greatest. And then Mike Tyson starts crying, brother.
Really?
Like, he starts crying, like, talking about this oak, and then Sugar Ray Leonard, like, starts talking about his struggles, and they both in tears nearly, bro. It's unreal, that podcast. You must check.
I need to check it out.
For me, it's boxing, so I can relate. Yeah. But the guys they have on there, brother, it's unreal.
That's epic. I need to check it out. Bro, Matt, welcome, bro. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you.
Cool to have you on here. I was thinking earlier today, how long have we known each other, bro? It's been a good couple of years, eh?
Well, I moved to Cape Town, 2007. I met you in 2000 and was I in matric or was it just out of school?
It must have been, towards the end of high school. So call it like 12 years, eh?
Yeah, 12 years around there, Crazy, eh?
We've had some crazy times, eh?
Crazy, bro. Time flies. I mean, our 20s are gone. I met you in the beginning of our 20s. Now they're gone.
Bro, I think we could have a couple of hours long podcast on just all the crazy shit we've been through together, eh?
100%. And it's so cool that, like, I get to be here on something that you're passionate about, you know, and
I get to chat to you about what you're passionate about. So.
But it's amazing.
So epic, bro. First of all, on that note, I mean, you're one of the few guys who I know that since I've known you, you've had one passion and one passion only, and that's obviously boxing. So even since before I knew you were into boxing, and I want to delve into that shortly, but since I've known you and your whole journey, I've kind of seen you start from where you started to where you are now, and it's really cool to see.
Thanks, brother. Thank you.
Really, really cool. But let's go straight back to the beginning. Like, what initially sparked your interest in the sport of boxing and everything?
So, boxing. So I grew up in the south of Joburg, and boxing there is it's something that there's a fighting culture in the south of Joburg that not many people. It's like not many people understand. You know, it's like. It's for some reason people they love to fight, and like boxing's a religion there, you know, and boxing goes back in my family, like my great uncle. So my grandfather and them, it was 5 brothers, and they sort of all were boxers, you know. They all enjoyed the sport, and my great uncle won an Olympic medal, and he won a Commonwealth gold. And those days, Commonwealth gold was like an Olympic medal because there were so many Commonwealth countries back then, you know. they say, like, a lot of guys over the years have told me, the older boxing historians have told me he was the best amateur boxer never to turn pro in this country. And I just used to like always hear those stories about him. And my dad and my uncle were always boxing men. They didn't box themselves, but they were always in boxing, watching fights. Back in the day, they used to have massive fights at the Rand Stadium in Joburg. My uncle and a lot of my uncle and my dad's good mates used to fight there. They were just always like involved in the sport, and obviously when I grew up, I must have been like, my first memory of boxing myself, I must have been like 6 or 7 or 8, I can't remember. It's funny because this story, it's like, I thought I dreamt it, but it actually happened. It's weird. Like, so I went to my dad's friend Jimmy Muir. He used to manage and assist fighters back then. I was probably 8, so 1998, and then there was a featherweight championship, South African championship fight in Joburg, and my dad said, "Come, let's go. I can go to the changing rooms and go see what it's about." So I didn't know what boxing was, and then my dad said, "We're going to go to the champion's changing room." I must ask my dad what fighter that was. I can't remember now. And then I walked in, and the champion was sitting on the floor in a tracksuit. He was obviously just waiting to warm up. I never forget it. I looked at my dad and I'm like, "Where's the champ?" Like, my dad's like, "That's the champ." I'm like, "But he's so small." That was my first. I'm like, "This is like so small." My dad's like, "He's a featherweight." And then I'm like, "A featherweight?" And I didn't understand. I'm like, "There's a featherweight." Because in my eyes, a champ was Mike Tyson, or like, back then, the Lennox Lewis and all like those type of, I didn't understand weight divisions whenever I was a kid. Yeah. And then I was like fascinated by that. Then he stood up and he like had a cold shower before like he started warming up. Then I was like fascinated, and I said to my dad, I'm like, "Why is he even having a cold shower?" And then like, now that I'm older, some trainers do that to get the adrenaline pumping, wake the guys up, And then I just never forget that. And then he put on his gloves and all that, and then he was hitting the pads, and I was like, I'll never forget, I was like fascinated. And then my dad said, "Go feel the gloves." So I walked up to him and I went to feel the glove, and I put my hand out. And then when I put my hand out, he put his jab out and like hit me on the head. He's like, "Feel it properly." And he like tapped me on my head. And I was like, "Yes, that glove's hard." You know what I mean? I was like, I never forget. I just was like fascinated. Anyway, we watched the fight and he lost. I can't remember the actual, it was like knockout or a TKO or something like that. And he lost. And then I went home. And me and my dad never really spoke about that. Like, I just sort of carried on. And then
quickly, how old were you then?
I was like probably 8 or 9.
Okay.
I was a kid. I don't think I was. Maybe I was 10. I must ask my dad my exact age. And then we never spoke about boxing really much again. And then when I got to 13, my dad's like, "Come, let's go to the gym. I want to show you, like, come check the boxing gym." So my great uncle boxed at Southern Suburbs Boxing Club back then, like in 1960. Or no, probably 19. How old is he? 80, in the 50s, I would say. And then I went to it was in Southern Suburbs, but it's a gym it was called Box Office at the time. And Anton Gilmore was the trainer there. And my dad took me there, and he was good friends with Anton. And they said, "Just, come in and show Matt like the basics of boxing." My dad didn't take me to the boxing gym to become a fighter, or he just took me there to see if I would enjoy it. And like, and then I never forget, I went there, and like, in Joburg, the gyms, like compared to Cape Town especially, boxing gyms were boxing gyms then, It's not, you don't go there and pay for one-on-one training, you know what I mean? So like I didn't even know sort of what one-on-one training was. Like, it's so funny, like I see kids coming to my gym and their dad comes there and they pays for one-on-one training, and then you give them some pads and you do like a 45-minute session. It's like so funny. Like back then, I walked in there and it was just like all fighters, everyone there wasn't there for fitness. Oaks were there to box,
Yes.
And I think I look back and I'm so grateful for that, because it showed me what boxing's about early. Like it showed me like what I learned there and how I excelled there. It like showed me what boxing's about, like from the get-go, Yeah, and I just went there and Anton Gilmore trained me. Anton was a great boxer himself. He's still got that gym. It's still running in Joburg.
Okay.
And then I trained there from like 13 till I was like 16, 17. And I just like loved it. I was a gym rat at that age already. I just loved being in a boxing gym, learning, like sparring, and just I loved the culture of boxing, the friends I made. And then from there, my mother wanted to relocate to Cape Town, and then I moved to Cape Town.
Yeah, that's obviously when I got to hear about
Yeah.
you, before I got to know you.
Yeah.
And there was like Matt the boxer.
Yeah. So then I moved to Cape Town, and then my mother just wanted me to, Cape Town's a better lifestyle, like
Yeah.
a lot of my family still lives in Joburg, and it's an amazing place, and I love Joburg, and like the people are amazing, but Cape Town was just lifestyle. You can't compare like the lifestyle that, especially as like a teenager then, I was 17, we go to the beach after school, and it was cool,
Yeah.
It took me a while to adjust to
imagine.
yeah.
Especially as a kid, the difference between Joburg and Cape Town.
Exactly, then I did my matric here, and I went to a government school, and I never knew one kid there. I walked in, and I was like well known, in my boxing gym in Joburg, and I had all my family and mates were there. And then now I'm in Cape Town, no one even knows me. Then I'm like, geez, now what am I going to do here,
For sure.
So, and then I set up my first gym in because I didn't know where boxing gyms were here, and boxing wasn't established here then. There was a few gyms, but nothing you couldn't compare it to Joburg, And then I never forget, I set up my first gym in my parents' house. Underneath, we had a thatch roof. Did you never came to that gym, eh? I don't think I knew you then.
No,
it was just before I met you.
Yeah, probably just before I met you, because the first gym that I knew it was actually there.
One of the guys that built the skate park put a ring there.
Yes, that's where I first knew you.
And I used to train you there, remember?
Yes,
I trained you a few times there.
Yes.
That was probably 2009 or 10. Yeah, around there, about 10 years ago. But my first, before that, when I was in school here, I put that gym in. My mom bought me a bag, and I had a speedball. And I never forget, I put all the South legends, all the boxers on the wall around my thatch. I put Anton and Lionel Hunter and Mark Stradum and all these guys, from Robbie Williams and who else, Charlie Weir, Spider Kelly, all these guys that were top tough boxers growing up in the South that we looked up to. I sort of put on the wall there, and I made it my own vibe in my underneath my thatch. I used to train after school every day there, and little did I know I was setting up my career for the rest of my life, which is it's crazy to look back at.
Yeah, I sort of want to touch on quickly. Just going back to your childhood, it's amazing how your life is set up in your childhood. The psychology of the experience that you had of going to the fight with that, and that impact that it had. It's amazing, as a kid, what you surround yourself with and the things that happen, how that can change your life.
It was weird, it's weird how that, when my first experience of boxing, how I remember it so clearly, but I still thought it was a dream. And I asked I didn't tell my dad I thought it was a dream. I said to him, remember that time, just so I can make sure it wasn't a dream. He's like, yeah, no, we went. I was like, okay. I don't know, it was a weird thing for me.
Yes.
And then, so then I trained in that, my underneath the thatch, and then I had my dad would train me there too. And then I was thinking, do I want to be a boxer? I was good enough to be a boxer, do I want to?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, did you know that boxing was going to be the rest of your life, or after school did it kind of just happen?
Yeah, I wanted to be I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in boxing. I don't know if I wanted to be a fighter. Did I want to be a professional? I was good enough. I had a bit of the pressure because of my great uncle, where he was, how he used to box, and my dad told me that it came out straight through me, my great uncle's ability and my grandfather, it came straight through me. Everything I could do in the gym was naturally, I didn't struggle with much in a boxing gym. And then, I wasn't sure, but I just loved boxing, And then when they opened a gym just in Bloberg, I know that time they just opened that gym. It was another one. It was opposite Bayside Shopping Centre. They opened a gym there. I don't think you came to that one. Nathan came to that one.
Yeah, I didn't come there, but I know what you're talking about. That building there. They had a thing on top
opposite,
there.
Yeah.
Oh, the ABSA building. Was it there?
Yeah, next the one. It was opposite the BP. Is that BP still there? Right opposite by there's a Mediclinic, and then opposite the Mediclinic they had something there. And then I was like, okay, this is cool. Now I'm actually going to have a coach and whatever. Then I went there, and then I was training hard, and then I started coaching people. People were asking me, because I already had 6 years experience in boxing, so people were like asking me, Matt, how do you do this? How do you hit the bag like this? My footwork. And then I started coaching there because there was not much there wasn't an experienced coach there. The guy that owned the gym just owned it just for fun. He wasn't a boxing guy, So
is that where you made the transition from an active boxer training yourself to then coaching?
No, not yet. Okay. So I was coaching there and I was holding pads, and I picked up pads for the first time, and I could hold pads for anyone, tall, thin, southpaw, orthodox fighter, anyone, Then I was like, geez, and pad work, people to hold mitts is something that people don't understand. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but I picked up pads. I could do lefty, right, anything. So then I was like, okay, this is cool. So I enjoyed that side too. And then I got a call. My first coach, Anton, they opened a gym. There was a boxing gym in Cape Town called Harrington's Boxing. I don't know if you know Harrington's. They were there, like the first sort of white collar fitness boxing gym in Cape Town in CBD at the time.
That wasn't ECB.
No, it was Harrington before ECB.
Before ECB.
Yeah. So
my first memory of the gym that you worked in town was ECB.
So Harrington changed to ECB when I got there. So
so it was the same location.
Same location.
Yeah. Okay, then it was. I do remember
Harrington's. And then he said to me, Harrington's are looking for people. Matt, they'll coach you there. I've recommended you. You've got that experience. You're young, but like I had that pedigree of when in the South, I was training with guys that became world champions. Now I was training with a former guy. Anton Gilmore was a great fighter. He taught me boxing. Like I was training with like well pedigreed guys already from when I was 13. So I wouldn't say I knew it all, but I was a step ahead than the average sort of gym owner then.
Yeah, that's why I started doing my first quite regularly at that time training with you. I'd come there, but it was still that lady that owned it, the foreigner.
Yes, that foreign lady and her husband owned it. He was South African and she was a foreigner from Netherlands.
Yes, and we also had one of the South African boxers there who trained, also coached people.
Yes, so he coached me. He was a former South African champion. That's when I got when I got my first proper trainer from in Cape Town. He started training me. His name was Kundile, Mother City Cobra. He was a hard man. He used to train us like.
Is he still training people? Or?
He moved to PE.
Oh, okay.
So, so anyway, then I got an opportunity there, and then the gym was a cool gym, and then
I remember you used to have fight nights, and we started like having events.
And then I never forget. I said no. You know what? I'm gonna pursue this boxing. Like I'm gonna pursue this boxing. I was 22. And I already had, I think then I had a fight team of 10 or 15 guys, me and Kundile together. And then I was so busy with my private training. I was working 9-10 hours a day already. I just had a knack for like training people, and people wanted to be around me and train with me already. But I was still trying to be a boxer at the time because I didn't understand, I just still had that in me where I wanted to test myself, Then I fought against a guy named Carlos in 2012, and then I lost. And I was like, thought to myself, like, is boxing for me? Maybe I should. It was just like I felt like a bit of like a coward in a way. Like I'm not tough enough to stand up for this game. And I felt like all these emotions going through my mind, and I had all these fighters too. And then I was thinking, what do you want to do, man?
Kind of doubt yourself.
Yeah, like, do you want to be a boxer? Maybe you haven't got the heart to be a boxer. It's a tough sport. But look how many fighters and people around you that are learning from you. You know what I mean? So I was like, it was like a hard process, but like anything, Yeah. And then Kundile said to me, he's like, Matt, you got something that you can use. You can pass boxing on to other people. You've been boxing since you were 13. You're 22 now. Maybe if the fight game's not for you, it doesn't mean you can't be involved in boxing and still make a difference. It's your passion. It's what you love. I love being in the gym. I was like, I mean that maybe that's it. But I was still training, and I still like carried on with my journey. Kundile trained me. I learned a lot from him. He was a really good boxer. Like I was in the gym with him all day, and then just after that I decided I'm going to do this coaching thing full time, because I started getting professional fighters coming to me, and that's when I realized, okay, I'm getting guys that like these guys are pros and they want to learn from me, and I sort of thought like all those emotions I felt going through my teens about boxing and about getting in the ring and all those emotions, I realized everyone feels that. and I used it to benefit me as a coach. You know, like if I just had somebody telling me certain things, I would have pursued it in a different way. You know, so all those emotions and it was actually setting me up to be a better coach one day, which I didn't know back then. You know, so
that's amazing. So Kandile kind of inspired that in you to like push forward with it.
Yeah, he's like, Matt, well, you know, in Cape Town at the time, what you going to earn as a professional boxer? You know, the business in boxing, you got, you know, I felt like I would rather want to go the business route and the coaching route in boxing and give guys the opportunity that they never had 10 years ago in Cape Town, you know? Yeah. So, and then I met a few guys and a few more established guys in the game. And then when I was 22 or 21, I came across Don Madge. Okay.
So just quickly before that, so after that whole process that you went through in yourself and realizing, is that where you had a shift towards, okay, I'm gonna create my own business, have my own fighters and develop fighters and train people?
Because I was already doing it, but I wasn't thinking about it.
You didn't realize your own worth in that game.
I was doing it already, and I wasn't thinking like, but you're actually doing it, and I take it to the next level. Because especially when you're young, you know, and it's like, and then I started actually thinking about like taking it to the next level, and then, you know, I had some good amateur boxers, and then I'll never forget I had my one amateur boxer. He was a cruiserweight at the time, and he came to me and he was scratched, brand new, couldn't throw a jab, couldn't do anything, and I was just training him, and then we had our first fight, and it was funny, our first fight was in 2011 in that gym, and it was against Egon Seconds.
Now, still at ECB, or was that when?
That was at ECB. Okay. So this is before I met Don Madgen, and this is just before. Okay. Yeah? And I was like, well, you know...
What was that fighter's name again that you had the...
Chaz Williams.
Yes, Chaz, I remember
Chaz Williams, yeah. And then I thought I want to build a fighter up from scratch, because I always say a great coach can build somebody up from scratch. And then anyway, so Chaz came in my life, and then we had our first fight, amateur fight, and it was against Egon Seconds. And Egon Seconds I'm not too clear up about rugby, but I think he played for Stormers. He was quite a well-known name then, and Chaz was from Constantia, and he was like a rich boy from Constantia, like a pretty boy, you know. And Egon Seconds was like strong, and I think he had 3 fights then, and he was a former rugby player, and then they started beefing with each other, back and forth. And then I was like, okay, well, this is serious now, you know. And then I never forget that night. The place was so packed. It was packed. People were pushing you to get into the door.
That was in the gym.
That was in the gym.
Yeah,
that was in the gym. Yeah. You didn't come to that fight.
I didn't come, but I heard about it. I'll never forget that you said you couldn't fill. It was too full. Like people were standing at the door.
It was packed. Like back then, they didn't sanction events really. It was like you get in there, you fight. You know what I mean? So then I'll never forget. We warmed up in a shower. There was no space because people had to use the bathrooms, and we warmed up in a shower. And Chaz is a cruiserweight, so he's a big guy. So the shower head just came above his head, and I'm like, well, we're warming up here, you know, like that's what's going to happen in the shower. We just some pads, warmed him up, and we went in the ring, and Chaz got rocked the first round, and the crowd was going off, and it was like, and I look back at that, I'm like, that's so cool, like to start off like that. It's like, you know, from like I've warmed up guys in a single shower. Yes. You know, like if you know right there and then I could have been like, no, this is bullshit. I don't want to be in boxing. Like, but it's about the sport. You know, like I had to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere.
So and then we ended up knocking him out in the 3rd round, and it was Hugo. We stopped him in the 3rd round, and the crowd was going mad, and it was cool. And then. And then I just grew from there. You know, Chaz had like 8 fights with me, and then from there that brought other guys to my gym, and then that's when I bumped in. That's when I got introduced to Don Madge just after that. And I sort of didn't really follow Muay Thai, because I think he was a Muay Thai world champion by then. Okay. He was already he was an animal then already. Yeah. And then he was back in Cape Town looking to fight MMA, and he needed a striking coach. And then I walked into the gym, and I was training 1 or 2 guys. This is what it was at a different gym. They were looking for a boxing trainer, and and I just brought my guys over, brought all my fighters, you know, and then I started working with. I never forget. I think I walked in the gym and Don was wrestling, and he still had like a big like his hair was shaven and he had a tail at the back, and he had just fought Leon Maynard, and it was a crazy fight against Leon. He cut Leon. Leon was back and forth. It was like one of the most exciting fights the EFC at the time, even up till this day, has ever seen. And the EFC was still new then. And then I sort of had heard of that fight, and then I saw him wrestling on the mat, and I was like, this is the type of guy I want to work with. Like, this is the level of guys I want to work with, you know. I held pads for him, and then he told, we had a team then, an MMA team, and I was a striking coach, and he told one of the MMA trainers, like, he wants me again, he wants to work with me tomorrow. And then me and Don just clicked, like we were the exact same age. And then it was funny because people are always like, trainers need to be 50 years old. That was in my like, you know, in the Rocky, you see trainers with like towels, and the guy's got he's like grey, and that's a boxing trainer. You know what I mean? So then I was like, geez, I'm doing this and I'm so young. I was like, I don't know. It was because that was a sort of the stigma attached to a boxing trainer. Yeah. Then me and Don worked together so well, and then we attracted more fighters, and I had such a big fight team back then already. It was awesome. I was living my dream, you know.
Yeah.
It's like,
so you had left ECB by then?
Yeah, I'd left ECB, and I took all my fighters to this gym, and I was working with Don, and we had a massive fight team. I had a lot of boxers then, and I was living my dream, which was cool. Yeah,
and that's obviously when you started also branching out just from boxing to getting involved in other aspects of the fighting sport.
Exactly. So at the time, professional boxing wasn't that big in Cape Town. Yeah. So I wanted to work with the biggest, best fighters, and EFC was taking over. And I had I was never an MMA coach, but I used to train MMA fighters. Boxing is a big part of MMA, boxing for MMA, and I learned a lot through that too. And the MMA guys started coming to train with me because they wanted to learn striking for boxing through MMA, you know. And that was a whole different market for me, which I enjoyed. And then what I would do is I would have a lot of my amateur and professional boxers, and then I'd have the MMA fighters, and we would mix everybody, and then they would be sparring with my pro boxers and learning that part of the game. Okay. You know, and then you know, Don at the time, I mean, Don always had amazing striking like that, like he's, you know, but Don would be like, at the time, he would be sparring top middleweights, junior middleweights, guys that are beating everybody. Don would be sparring guys like that, boxing their ears off. You know what I mean? But he's an MMA fighter.
Yes.
You know? So, like, we've been doing that transition years ago already, you know? Like, people back, like, it's changed now since Conor McGregor and a few guys have got in a boxing ring, but the stigma was, like, MMA fighters can't box. You know what I mean?
That's what I would automatically kind of assume, because you would think, I mean, this is obviously a stupid question, but MMA fighters, they focus on a whole range of aspects of fighting, whereas boxing is just one.
Of course.
So you wouldn't think that would be specialized in one area.
Exactly. But a lot of the time is you see, I'm not an MMA coach, so I can't really say this is how it should be. But as an MMA fighter, a lot of MMA guys want to box with the best boxers, wrestle with the best wrestlers. You know, roll and do BJJ with the best guys. You know, you have to be, if you're the best at every single aspect, and you have a coach, an MMA coach that can put that all together, you'll be, you know, and I think that's what Don wanted to do then. Box with the best boxers, wrestle with the best wrestlers, you know, roll with the best at the time, you know, like at that time, roll with the best guys. And I think that's what he wanted to do. And I think, you know, he was always a special fighter. But then, you know, we had other guys that competed in the EFC, you know, back then, and I had pro boxers too, and you know, and I was actually, I was living my dream, but I was, without me knowing, I was working at it since I was 13.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I mean, how long have I known you? And I actually don't know the intricacies of this. It's so cool to hear, and like I love anything to do with like psychology and mindset and that, and it's so interesting to hear your mindset and how you doubt yourself. And I think everybody doubts themselves, and as you progress, you start to build your confidence. You start at the bottom, then you kind of expand out into MMA with Don, and then you obviously doubted your age, and you were like, well, I'm too young to be a legit coach. And
everyone told me that. What do you know? You're too young. What do you know?
And you just obviously slowly built that confidence, built to the point where then you guys then went and were like, well, let's start our own gym and let's do our own thing.
You know, so like the key to all that, and to like, if you work hard, you eliminate doubt. Like the harder you work, the more you're putting in the work, whether you're a coach, whether you're a fighter, whether you're whatever, you're putting in the work, you eliminate doubt, because that, hard work builds confidence. And that's basically what we did. Like, I've lived for boxing. I've never done anything else. Like, I've never boxed when I was 13 to 16, and then I worked on, I studied for 5 years, and I came back to boxing. No, it's all I've done, you know what I mean? So, yes. And then we just worked, and then, like, one of my most memorable moments was when me and Don were 23, and our team at the time won the EFC title. And like being part of that, I was really proud to have been a part of that.
Yeah,
and,
I still remember that. You flew up to Joburg and you were like...
Carnival City. Yeah.
Yes.
That was the first MMA fight on Supersport.
Wasn't I there that time?
You were there? No. That was Leon. Like,
me and Nathan got so drunk there, brother.
Yes, that wasn't Costa. That was another one.
Yeah, we partied hard that night.
Yeah.
I don't know how old I was. We were still young then,
yeah. 24, 23.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you used to fly to Joburg, Carnival City, and do the...
Exactly. And then I was like, geez, the team was so amazing then, and I was proud to be a part of it. And I look back at pictures, and I'm like, I was 23, like 6,000 people there, Supersport, like, you just like the way Don fought and what he did, and just for me to be a part of that, and my hard work paid off, and like, it was like my first major champion, and it was just so cool. Like, and I realized, geez, I'm actually living my dream, And then I thought like it's going to be smooth sailing from there, but it just got tougher and tougher to turn fighting and boxing and coaching into like a career that's financially, that's you can look after a family one day, that can be financially stable. It's not easy, like my whole thing was, I want to make this where one day I can look after my family, where I can have a legitimate business. It's all good and well holding pads in someone else's gym or holding pads but you need to create something around you that's bigger. You
got to create a business, or
exactly.
Gotta,
it's all good and well you have a champion, but you need a business around that. And I started thinking like that when I was about 23. I started thinking, and Don's always thought, like, Don's way more than just a fighter. They'd actually got a business brain of notes. So we used to sit and talk all the time. What are we gonna do? What Don's mind was UFC all the time. Okay. Don's like, I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna be a UFC champion. Yeah. And I was like, we're gonna push for that. And we got to a point where I wanted more, and I wanted to have my own business, and I wanted to do, I think it was difficult because back then I didn't have parents that are going to give me 500,000 rand for a gym. I never had I'd never had any help. Like, I had support from my mother saying, if you want something, go and get it, but I'm not going to give it to you, type of thing. And so it was like not easy also, and then we just one day we got an opportunity to open MadFit MMA.
Yeah. So that's where you took the big leap.
That's where we took the leap. 25 years old, didn't even know what a lease was. Sign a rent, like rent.
I remember
lease.
when you started. Just like you obviously not a business person.
I was trying to be one, but I was trying to be.
But you have to start somewhere.
I was like, I was so focused on like, because you can be a good coach, but you need to be more. You have to have more. And I had an idea how I was going to do it, but you learn as you go, And then we got an opportunity to open a little gym called MadFit MMA, and we called it MadFit because for the Mad is Matt and Don.
Yeah. And I assumed that much. I was thinking today actually. I was like, because I didn't actually know the meaning of that. But
and we thought MadFit
it's pretty cool
because it's a place that it's a place for everyone. I don't want to call it like extreme, like I don't know. I just wanted to call it fit, like MadFit. You come here, you get MadFit. It's we have our fight team, but it's not just for fighting. It's for everyone. And then we started in a little storeroom next in Bree Street, Cape Town. A very nice street, a little gym, 80 square meters.
Yeah, it was cool, but it was a bit small back in the day.
Exactly.
I mean, it was
70 or 80 square meters, but we made that work.
Yeah, you guys utilized that space.
The people that owned the space were like, this is our storeroom. So I was like, well, I'll make this it's a storeroom. They used to like put all their like treadmills and shit in there. And then I was like, well, I'll make this work because I'm young. Beggars can't be choosers. Like I said, I'm not going to get someone that's going to pay my rent and I'd never had that, you know. So I was like, let's do this. And then we used to open the gym and we painted it ourselves. We put up the ring and I put MadFit on the wall, and I like started. It was like sort of took me back to when I started like under my thatch at home again. You know what I mean? Same thing. And then, you know,
it's a nice analogy to life. It's like a constant. You don't just get there. It's a constant journey. It's like you think you're like at the top of a certain area, then you start at the bottom of another one. And it's once you realize it's more about the journey
100%.
than, oh, today I've made it, now I'm good. You're never going to make it. It's always about the journey and constantly improving. And
like that's why resilience is such a thing. Like you have to keep going. Like keep going. You know, like I started in that storeroom, and then people started coming because of our name, and I got so many calls, people telling me how I'm not going to make it.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
I wanted to ask you about it actually.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of people doubting you?
Like in the boxing world, the MMA world, they would call me and be like, oh, so I hear you open MadFit, and you know, Don's not going to be there full time, and good luck, but it's very hard, you know. Like, and I was like, and I realized these people are just telling me like good luck, but they're telling me how I'm not going to make it. Yeah. And then I was like, well, people will see what I'll do, you know. And then Don used to help me a lot, come up and down. Don's mother, Bernadette Madge, she's like a machine, bro.
I remember she used to be there at the first gym that you guys had.
Yeah, exactly. She's a machine. Like she's a problem solver. She's a very strong lady. She sorts things out in business, you know. So she helped me a lot. And then I was there 2 years in that 80 square meter place. There were people around that was just, I just wanted, because I was sharing, there was somebody next door to me that I was sharing with, you know. And then I was like, no, I want more. I want my own big space. Like, that's what I want. 320 square meter place came available in Rulan Street. On Rulan Street, you know, highway facing, a dream gym.
That's awesome.
Like,
the location is...
Yeah, I said, I'm like, Don, I don't know if we can do this. This is big. He's like, we're going to do it. You know, one thing about him, he was always a guy that would push me. Sometimes I would doubt myself a bit, and Don's got no doubt. That's why he's in the UFC. He's like, we're going to do it. So, okay, got that space. I put that gym up. I did the measurements. I put the bathrooms in there. I was like, that's the thing. Being a coach is not enough. I had to be a construction worker. I had to be I had to do all that. Like, I had to put the ring up. I had guys helping me, but I had to do all the measurements. I had to be more than just a coach, you know. Yes. And then the admin and getting people in, and being a businessman and a business owner is something different to a coach, you know. Yes. And yeah, we did it, and we've been there 2 years, and we have the number one MMA boxing gym in the Western Cape. A lot of people might not like that or understand that. We are the number one in the Western Cape. I have the biggest fight team, I would say, in the Western Cape. The guys I've got my BJJ black belt. He's one of the best in the country. I've got my Muay Thai coach. He's a former South African champion, Wade Hammond. He's had over 50 fights, 12 years experience. Yeah. There's me. I've got my pro boxers, guys like Dwayne, who is a former African Game gold medalist, amateur boxer, qualified trainer. He's training people there. I've got my flyweight Wade Kerspe, who trains people there. He's one of the top guys. Like what, you know, we are now, we've got the people we have at our gym. I'm so blessed to have those people, and you know, from my thatch, people I haven't spoken about this before. People don't know my journey. Like, people think they know me and my journey, but they don't, you know.
I said to you, there's even parts that you told me now that I didn't actually know. So it's so awesome to see, and like for me to have seen it, it's you testament to the fact that if you set your mind to something, you can achieve it. Jeez, so congrats, bro. It's so good to see, bro. Honestly, you know? and obviously facing those fears, you know, step by step, having to break through and doubting yourself. But like you said, you had to come to a point where you realized you got to make a career of this or not, and it must have been a big step to take.
And it was the fear of not making it and then living at my mother's house until I'm 40 or 30 or whatever. That was that fear. I've met some amazing people, and some people not so great, you know, but it's all good. It happens, and you need to go through those people to know who your right team is and who the right people are, you know. And like for me, when I made my first major boxing champion, that was also when I was 28. I made that first major boxing champion, WBF All Africa champion, David Rajuli. That was also like a really cool moment for me, you know. I had a major champion MMA and boxing, and then it just kept coming. And then Don Madge got signed to the UFC. One of my best friends, my business partner, someone that I worked with from when I was 21 years old, then he, that was the right move for him to train under Richie Kwan. And Richie is the nicest guy ever. I learned so much from him too. It was just, for me, it's just another avenue to get better. Having that contact through Don to work with him is, when I go to Joburg, being around those guys, it's just another way for me to get better. That's how I see things. And then,
And it's interesting just listening to your whole story and realizing that, I mean, when you look back, even though you said you had to go through, meet people who weren't, the best for you or whatever, every step of the journey needed to be there to get you where you are now. And in this day and age where everybody's trying to, fake it till they make it overnight kind of thing, everybody just wants success. In this world that we live in is kind of crazy. You have to go through all of those challenges to get where you are. You have to. You can't shortcut the circuit.
Because struggle makes you better. And I'm so grateful that my mother always told me, if you want to do something, do it yourself. There's no, I look back, if my mother had money and my mother said to me when I was 23, here's $1 million, open that MadFit you've always wanted. I would have opened it. It would have lasted 1 month because I would never have knew what the hell to do. People only work for you and work with you if you legit yourself, and the guys I have in my gym now are all legit, but it's because they trust me. And I'm not a boss. I'm not a boss. I don't dictate to them at the gym, you guys do this, you guys do that. As much as they're working, I'm working right there side by side. I'm still training all my clients. I'm training all my fighters. I'm doing my 6 a.m. classes. Just because now I've had my business 5 years and we're busy, and I've got all these top guys around me. Now I must point a finger and delegate. Never. That's not my personality. That's not how it works. And I think that's what the hard work never stops.
I think we were chatting before we started this, and you were telling me about. I assumed that your business would be a lot worse affected by this whole COVID thing. A lot of small businesses are taking a massive knock. But chatting to you before we got on cameras, you were saying that because of the whole process, you've built it up in such a conservative way, the right way, without having just taken out loans or getting money pumped in and getting yourself in debt or whatever, that you now built a business up to the point where you can survive this COVID thing and move forward. And that's very cool to hear as well.
Like they say, easy come, easy go. So MadFit didn't come easy, and my gym and anything in what I've done in boxing and MMA and as a coach, it didn't come easy. So I worked for it and I gradually built it and I did things the right way. So because now we're in the pandemic, yes, it's affected us, but we're not going to close our doors, no, not by a long shot, because of that gradual build. And that's what, I'm not a business expert, but I would say that's how the best way is to grow a business organically and put in that work, those small steps every day, And
it's also allowed you to stay humble, because if you had gotten the $1 million when you were 21, started your gym, thought you the main O, and especially in the fighting scene where I suppose ego can become a big thing, and how do you separate? As a fighter, you obviously need to have a good confidence, and how do you separate that from arrogance and people? Do you find that ever an issue? And I suppose being humble is always a key thing to running a gym, but also keeping that respect. Is it quite a challenge you see with fighters and
I think
the fighting game?
I think as a fighter, you got to be arrogant.
Yeah.
I think you're in a cage or in a ring. Okay. It's war.
I suppose it comes with the territory. You have to.
It's war. As a coach, different story.
Okay.
You get some fighters that aren't arrogant and that are confident and humble, and they excel that way. A lot of fighters are arrogant. So, but there's a difference between arrogance and entitlement. So, if you're arrogant, like Floyd Mayweather, but you're not entitled, where you feel like you at a level in your career where you can just sort of, not put in the work, and then you become entitled. As soon as you're entitled as a fighter, where you feel like you don't need to work that hard, you don't need to listen to your coach because you're at the top of your game, that's worse. But if you're arrogant, but you're not entitled, and you're putting in the work every single day, if you're a world champion and you're listening to your coach and you're putting in that work, and you got to work like it's your first fight, like this is like you're just starting out, then it's different. But that's the difference.
Interesting. Okay, so as long as you training hard and you're putting in that work, then there's a certain level of arrogance that you kind of allow,
100%.
You are putting in the work, and then you are that confident in your abilities, and you need to have that such a strong belief in yourself to make it. That
like Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather changed the game, and a lot of people sort of look up to Floyd, and and Floyd's arrogant, and Floyd will post, he in his earlier days, he's like all access videos. He'll eat McDonald's and he'll go to his strip club, but because he does
Money
that,
Mayweather.
But Floyd's ran 15Ks before he had that McDonald's, Floyd will go to an event, he will he will mingle his appearance, he puts on his running shoes, puts on his tracksuit, runs from the event home. You know what I mean? That's the type of stuff Floyd does.
Like 3 a.m. or something.
That's the type of stuff Floyd. But so if a fighter's arrogant but he's working like that and he's winning, you know what I mean? But if you're arrogant and entitled, and you just feel like you've made it and you don't need to work, you don't need to put in the road work, that's when you'll probably fall short, But for me personally as a coach, and I think practicing being humble and being grateful is the best way to follow in life. Especially as a coach, it's not about me, it's about my fighters, it's about them, it's not about me. So me being arrogant or me having an ego, I'm not in the ring, I'm not getting punched in the face, I'm not knocking people out. I got to be humble and be selfless and put them first, and that's how I try practice that every day in boxing.
I suppose you have to practice it because it's easy to fall out of that.
The less the knowledge, the bigger the ego. So in the fight game or any game, when there's a big ego, and as a coach or something, and there's an ego where shut up and do this, and that's because it's compensating for the lack of knowledge.
Definitely. I think the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know.
100%.
So people who don't know much, they think they know everything, and then that's where that ego comes in. And then just touching on mindset with fighters and developing fighters, besides having the ability to fight, getting the mind right. I mean, how have you seen that throughout your years, and how does that fit into, have you seen guys lose the mindset and then everything goes out the window? Is that a big part of the...
So as I've gotten older as a coach, I used to look at, when I was younger, I looked at ability. I'd be like, wow, that guy's got an amazing jab. This oak's he's got it all. But then as I got older, I started looking deeper into mindset, because you can have the ability. If you don't have the mindset, you'll never make it. So now I sort of look at a guy's mindset and I see how he is and what makes him tick, and then I think to myself, how can I better that? How can I bring the best out of him with the mindset he has already, and it's something I'm still learning as a coach, and it takes time, but I feel I'm getting a bit better at it, because you're working at the moment. I've got about 13 or 14 fighters, and they're all different, and they all tick differently, and we all train together, and it's all different personalities, and I learn how do you get the best mindsets out of people, and that's something I'm still learning. And when you work with so many different fighters and people, you see different mindsets, and you sort of see what works, what doesn't,
Because that's the thing. I think back in the day, it was always like, just get your ability up and go fight. But if you can understand the way somebody thinks, because everybody's different, like you say, so if you can start to learn different people's way of thinking, you can then adapt the way they train, the way they
100%,
everything around that.
So there's always in a training camp, there has to be structure. So I set up a structure, and guys must train to these times of structure. But then you make small adjustments, like sometimes you'll let a guy closer to the end of camp, he'll spar with a guy not as good as him, and he'll land shots that he wouldn't have landed throughout camp with a better guy. And then it's a small adjustment where he's like, geez, I've gotten better, I'm ready for this fight, It's like a small thing that makes him tick, where he's like, if you get guys into that mindset where they're waking up 5-6 days a week, running 5 a.m. in the winter, that builds a mindset for the ring too, And it's just, that's all, it's a broad conversation mindset,
It is a broad one. I think it's quite interesting. besides the obvious benefits of boxing as a sport, that discipline can overflow into any area of life.
100%.
So
100%.
you can look at boxing as just people getting and hitting each other, but if you look at the discipline involved in every aspect of the sport, it's a really great way to look at life and how to go through life. I suppose all exercise.
It's like, that's why all kids should box. All kids should box. They don't have to fight, but just kids should box and just understand, if you don't work hard for something, you won't get better at it, because boxing's like that. It's only you. You haven't got 10 guys or 15 guys around you on the soccer field or rugby field that can cover for you, you know. So boxing's very like...
It's quite a character building.
Yeah, it is. It's really character building. And also sometimes getting punched in the face and you punch somebody back, you realize, okay, I'm not made out of glass. Like I can, you know, if someone punches me, I can punch them back. You know, if someone says something to me, I can stand up for myself, especially in school, you know, when you're growing up and, you know, you always get the bullies, and it gives you that confidence, because you have to have that in life, you know.
Yeah, it's not about becoming a fighter, as per se. It's just about,
you know,
that confidence,
every day, and I just think a lot of people don't understand the confidence it builds for kids. Like for me, geez, boxing, like,
you were very confident in yourself, not overconfident, but like everybody respected you, also because you could fight, but it was a natural confidence that I think develops as
does. Like you just feel like, you know, when you're growing up, and if someone takes advantage of you or says something to you that's not right, you can say, listen, that's not right. I don't want to be spoken to that way, because if it's not about, it's never about punching someone in the face, but it's just about that. Sometimes having a say. Like now, my one fighter, he came from he was from Australia. He moved to Durban, and then I actually met him on Instagram, and he wanted to be part of my team, and he joined my gym in January, and he actually lives with me now, and he's one of my prospects. He's an amateur, 21 years old, and he like what boxing's done, and him being in South Africa and training with African guys and African people, where how he was in Australia. Like I always say it, Africans, we are the strongest people in the world. Like African people have a mindset that not many people in the world have. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know you touched on that with the interview you did with, was it Damien Durant?
Yes,
I watched that one,
exactly.
It was interesting,
and my next thing is like now that the gym is where I want it, not where I want it to be. I'm still going to expand it. I've got lots of plans, but my gym's stable. My biggest thing is I would love to promote boxing in Africa. But my would be to develop African talent, because there's so much African talent that guys are just don't get fights. They're just waiting and begging for fights.
Yes.
It's something that I want to.
And perhaps they don't have the right structures to build them up to be the greatest fighters.
You know, a lot of promoters, their biggest thing is I want ticket sellers. Fighters must sell tickets. So you get a fighter that doesn't know how to use social media, okay? So a lot of fighters come from less fortunate backgrounds, you know? So all promoters want, this guy's not a ticket seller, so I don't want him on my card. But why don't you set up a system and a structure to help these guys understand how to become ticket sellers, market themselves, show them Instagram, build their life skills, because you can only become a champion in the ring when you're a champion out the ring, when you understand how to run your life, when you understand how to market yourself. But so many guys are like, oh, he's not a ticket seller. Teach him how to be a ticket seller. Get a team around him. Get a PR team around him. Make him a star. That's what South Africa and Africa doesn't do. America does it brilliantly. We don't do that, and that's what I would love to do. I would love to take...
So it's more than just being a fighter. You actually have to be able to be marketable.
Exactly. But make the guys marketable, you know, show them, make them understand. I can write down right now 50 names on a piece of paper, all guys that are just begging for fights in Africa and South Africa, that are all marketable, that all can be killers, but there's just no platform for them. You know what I mean? And it's a matter of time. I'm gonna do it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's something that
I know you mentioned in that chat that you want to create like an academy, a boxing academy, to some degree going forward.
Exactly. I mean, I'm already doing it at my gym, I would say. But if I promote boxing and then I create an academy from that promotion and bring guys through, and even I don't even need to train the guys. You know, I'll get talent from other gyms, and that's my gym. My next gym is to promote. especially in Cape Town, promote boxing. And that's something I've been working on already, and I'll talk about that when I can,
Cool, man. I want to kind of switch lanes a little bit, because I know we've been focusing a lot on boxing, but for those listening who aren't necessarily just into boxing and they're interested in exercise in general, I know you mentioned earlier the back in the day, the old school boxing gyms, when you started out, it was like a proper boxing gym, was a boxing gym like you've seen in the old movies and that. Obviously things have changed nowadays where there's not so much of a stigma around boxing gyms as just being that rough and tough. You go there and you get get moved there. I know you've branched out into all other avenues of fitness and group classes, and for somebody who would assume a boxing gym is just where you go and fight, I know it's a lot more than that. You've branched out into other areas of training and
so that's what I love about boxing now, like especially in Cape Town. There are so many boxing gyms in Cape Town now that people are going for fitness. There's so many girls that are boxing at my gym now. It's like become, it's not like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym because I'm going to get punched. No, people are understanding the benefits of boxing training, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all the stuff we offer, Muay Thai, like I own an MMA gym, but I only run the boxing. I'm a boxing trainer. But the reason why we have an MMA gym is because I want to tap into the other markets. Now I have a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. BJJ is a massive community that I find fascinating. BJJ people are the most dangerous people in the world. Like a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like a black belt, my black belt's at my gym, Brandon Hoffman. He got his black belt in Brazil. He was there for 12 years. Okay, he's South African, but he's got his black belt in Brazil. That guy's like 70 kilos. I'll never mess with that oak. That oak will tie you in a knot in a second. Any boxer, any kickboxer. So for me, I've always been fascinated about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't really do much of it because I don't have much time, and I'm focused on one thing, which is boxing. But I love having the art in my gym,
I've heard a lot about this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a lot of people I listen to speak about it, and a lot of people do it not for the physical benefits, but apparently the mental benefits also. It's a game changer.
And it's such a nice culture of respect,
humility. I've heard the culture is not about an aggressive kind of.
And for women, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for women self-defense, I think boxing for women is great for toning and fitness, and also it's good to learning how to throw a punch. But most altercations that happen outside of a gym is someone ends up in a wrestling match, or someone getting their hands on you, and especially for a female in this country, if a male, if you have been training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a while and an unskilled male gets his hands on you, if you good enough at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you have an understanding of it, you could either get out of that hold to get to safety, or you could choke somebody out. That's what makes it so dangerous,
Okay, so you guys offer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, with my black belt. Brandon Hoffman, we offer Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay. No-gi and gi, guys get graded. We have a grading system. Also, we've got Muay Thai with Wade. He's top Muay Thai kickboxer in Cape Town. And then obviously I do all the boxing training. And in my gym, we offer the fitness aspect, but we're not a box fit gym. It's the art.
What is the difference?
No. It's 100% true. Like, people don't know the difference. So there's a difference between being a boxing trainer and you hold pads and someone does burpees. Okay. That's a box fit trainer.
Like you can do it version active and have a little
hold pads, which is cool. I mean, you want to sweat, hit the pads a bit, do burpees or whatever, but that's not boxing. We teach boxing in a way where it's boxing, where we teach you how to box, but without the contact. So I can get a girl that's coming to my gym 5 days a week. She knows how to defend a punch, how to block, how to slip, how to move. She can hit the bag, hit the pads. Her technique's 100%. She knows everything, but she's just not getting in the ring because she doesn't want to and she doesn't need to. You know what I mean? That's the difference. So you're learning the skill but getting fit. We don't just make you punch the bag and do burpees. We teach you how to defend a jab, how to move. We train you like a boxer, because every day you get better, and that's what makes you want to come back, and it makes you want to grow in the sport. And then before you know it, you've lost 10 kilos. So that's how we do it.
The all-round benefit is there, and I haven't boxed with you in a while, but even back then, I've never been interested in getting in the ring to fight somebody, but you see yourself improve, and I was training with you. You see yourself, even if it's slight improvements, you see yourself improve. and the level of training is such a great exercise, just on a benefit level for
it's amazing.
your physical health.
And you can do it at any age, boxing, you know. It's easy on your joints, you know. It's not like running or on the treadmill and all, you know. It's like, it's easy on your joints, you know. You can be 50, you can hit the pads, hit the bag, enjoy yourself, you know.
Yeah. So you guys offer basically the whole range of anybody, any age, any
range. If you're a professional fighter, you can, if you're good enough, you can join my team. If you're a guy that just wants to come and sweat and laugh with his mates and learn boxing, you can do that. You can come do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you're a white collar guy that you got a bit of skill and you want to compete in the white collar fighting, we do that too, you know. So which
interesting, yeah, it's very cool. Another aspect I want to quickly pick your brain on is, for me, I've been interested. I mean, exercise is a part of my life for most of my life now. But I've realized as I've gotten older, for me, when we were younger, it was more about, you know, looking good, wanting to look good all the time, and which is still a factor. I mean, you still want to be in shape, you still want to look good. But as I've gotten older, especially working away, I realized that if I didn't exercise or train that day, I didn't sometimes feel as great as I could be. So my mental space was so much better if I trained or exercised that day. So for me, the mental benefits of training far outweigh now the physical benefits. And I feel that in the society we have nowadays, where people have anxiety, depression, all these kind of issues, if people just do some exercise, they would feel better, get those endorphins pumping, get that.
100%.
You know, we need to be moving, and
100%.
You obviously deal with lots of people in that space. Do you see people's lives improve when they start to
100%.
exercise?
Like, I don't think people realize what it does for you mentally, you know. Same with me. I don't train for to look good. I train because when I'm training, I sleep better.
Yeah, exactly.
I release stress. I eat better because I'm training. I'm on a path where I'm not going to put that in my body because I'm looking after my body by training. Then when I'm sleeping better, I have more productive days. When I'm training, my clothes fit me better. I have more confidence to talk to people, and not just me, everyone. And that's just how it works, which people don't understand. When people feel, when people feel depressed, they want to go get a pill, you know. Which I can't. I'm not going to discuss mental health because I can't, because I don't know what it's about. But sometimes instead of, you know, maybe if you're feeling depressed and you're turning to medication, turn to exercise. If I don't train for a week or two, I start getting headaches, I start having stomach problems, I start getting sick because your body's not moving. Now imagine people that have never trained. You know, I've seen it in my gym where training's changed people's lives. It's turned them around where you can't even recognize who this person is. It's like an amazing thing, and especially boxing training, you know. So
for sure, I can vouch for that. Even during this lockdown now, like 3 months of no gyms open, I think no wonder people are having such bad rates of depression, all of that. You can't go exercise, and like I can only do so many home workouts, and it's like I've been trying, but I know if I haven't exercised for 2-3 days, I'm irritable, I'm moody, I'm not feeling good. I have to exercise now more for my mental space than anything else.
And I think during this lockdown, people have started appreciating it more. Because remember when we got to run from 6 till 9, everybody was running, which was cool to see us. Everyone was running, and then people realized, geez, now that I couldn't do it, now they're starting to appreciate it, which is cool. Especially in Cape Town, there's such a massive fitness market here, which is really cool to see, you know.
Yeah, no, people need to move. It's for us to be restricted to not move. I mean, we were staying in an apartment the entire, and we couldn't even run in the complex.
Same.
It was absolute madness, bro. You need to move and need to keep fit. I know
100%.
Nix does the Pilates at the gym as well, and she taps into that space. I've had quite an interest in that, obviously.
You've trained with Nix for a while.
I've trained with her for a bit, and I've done a bit of other stuff like yoga and that, and I've been looking into the longevity side of things, and because as I get older, you start to feel a bit of aches and pains.
100%.
So keeping that balance all around with the exercise, I think there's definitely benefits in it.
So Nix, my girlfriend, she does the Pilates and that movement type of exercise, which is very tough. And
people don't realize, a lot of guys especially, they look at it and kind of laugh and be like very Pilates or yoga or whatever.
It's very tough. So I do it sometimes with her, and she does that, and then she boxes too, you know. And actually Pilates and that type of stuff complements boxing quite well, because it strengthens the core and those small internal muscles and core muscles that you need to throw a punch, and you need to snap punches and stuff. So I do it when I can, you know. So but fitness, I wouldn't say I'm fitness boxing is a big part of my life. So I always, especially as a coach, when I'm training, hitting pads, hitting the bag, doing my road work, I have a clear mind to help my fighters. You know, I have to. I'm not the type of coach that wants to sit down, because if I'm just sitting down, I just feel like for me to keep my mind clear and be a better coach, I got to also put in some of the work, you know, and keep myself in shape. It's not about me being a fitness guru where I need to have a six-pack. No. It's about being my mind clear to coach these, you know, being a coach and putting a fighter in the ring and his whole family's watching, and you know, I make a mistake and I put him in the ring and I get him the wrong fight and he gets knocked down in front of everyone. It's not a joke, you know. A lot of people think they want to be boxing trainers, but then when it comes down to it, you know, putting somebody in a ring, it's not for everyone, you know.
It must be a big thing, and so, like you said, touching quickly a little bit what you said earlier, just besides the mental gains you get from exercising, you sleep better, so then you eat better, so then you want to train better, so then it's a constant uphill, so then you can make the right decisions in terms of putting somebody in the ring, so you know what you're doing.
And you know, besides that, like, you know, if you have it's just, same thing is like if you're training hard, you know, you want to have that feeling as often as you can. So when your friends are all partying, you don't want to go and wake up hungover, because you're going to miss that run, and that run means more to you than that. And then when you're missing those the parties and the drinking, you start changing your friends too, because then you start making friends with someone that's going to come for the run. And then most of the time that's the right friend. Then you start meeting that girl you're not going to meet the girl at a club, you're starting to meet the girl on the promenade that's like running, and then you're like, okay, well then your whole life changes, you 100%. Know? So that's massive.
The environment is everything. Who you surround yourself with is everything.
And like creating, like even in my gym, I got this fight team where now it's such a great environment for everyone, and we just push everyone, you know.
Yes. So, and you feed off each other's energy, and like the days that you're feeling a bit down, somebody comes in and you feel motivated again.
And then when you have that common goal, everything else becomes like the small things like partying. I mean, you have to have a good time and stuff, but the partying,
not like we used to when we were younger.
Yeah, you know, it changes, you know. So.
Yeah, but I got to the point where I was like, I can't every weekend being drinking just wasn't for me anymore. It's like, I couldn't do it.
No,
I definitely want, once we can get up and running again, I definitely want to, after chatting to you now, I really want to get back into it, because it's such a good high intensity exercise as well. You leave the boxing gym like,
and it's 45 minutes, that's not 2 hours, 45 minutes, you've got a good workout, you know.
Definitely. What do you think going forward in terms of this whole COVID situation, how it's affected everybody? I know it's going to be obviously slow on the uptake, getting people back, and do you hoping to get going soon?
So
in terms of getting crowds, will it be a while to get crowds for fights?
That's
because of social distancing, people are obviously scared about.
You know, that's another thing where I was sort of like, with boxing in South Africa, they say we're only going to resume in December or next year, but in the States the guys are boxing. In UFC the guys are boxing, at Top Rank they're boxing, PBC the guys are putting on shows now, I think August or July, and but not us. And I sort of, the guy said to me, because we're a third world country, you know what I mean? And then I was like, I just feel that mentality is the wrong mentality to have. Follow the other protocols. Boxers are starving. Boxers need a fight, you know? Like, you know, gyms are closing. Like, make a plan, like try for these people, you know. But I'm not too politically clued up about it, and I can't judge that, you know. But I just think I would have, you know, I wish boxing could carry on here, and no crowd, all the protocols, test the fighters, you know, get the guys their income, you know. But I'm not a promoter, so I can't really talk, you know.
No, for sure. I'm not an expert on it, but in my opinion, I just feel that if you want to go to a gym and fight, if you're a healthy person and you want to take that risk, it's your decision to do that.
100%.
You shouldn't be stopped from going to exercise because somebody else says that gym can't open.
You know?
I feel like everybody has the right as an individual to make that decision for themselves, and you putting yourself at risk. In everyday life, we're putting ourselves at risk. If you want to go train, and if you're fit and healthy, and as long as you take the responsibility of who you surround yourself with, I think as soon as gyms are open, people should, you know, as long as they...
keep the people that are at risk, you know, isolate them a bit, and you know, like
Be conscious of who you spend your time with, and
exactly,
if you're going to be in a gym, don't go see your grandmother.
100%. That's the thing. So, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I don't know the numbers are. They say this and they say that, but that's a whole other conversation. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole topic of itself.
For me, that's what my thing is. I'm not a politician. I'm a boxing trainer. I do what I'm good at. I make sure my people are okay. I make sure my gym's running. I make sure I'm doing my part in what I'm good at. I can't comment on what politicians should be doing. Sometimes you get sort of like all wrapped up in what's happening in the country, and then you're so worried about that you forget about what's happening with you. So that's why I just try to keep my own goals in check. What Dlamini, Zuma and all of them say, I worry about my.
Remember, I think for the first month of the lockdown, I was so involved. I was like, these fuckers.
Oh, you had nothing else to do. You were sitting at home.
Yeah, I was sitting at home every day, and I was like, this fucking government. Anyway, but I'm glad to hear that you guys are good, and once this is all over, you're going to be good. You're going to be good moving forward. And like, what are your future plans in the long run? Like, where do you want to take? What is your ultimate kind of vision?
My ultimate kind of vision is to promote boxing in Africa. I want to have international fighters, and I want to travel with them. And my ultimate goal is I want to have a champion of the world. I want to bring back a world champion. That even if it's just one, I don't know what the future holds for me, but if I can, I just want to have a world champion, and that's one of my big goals, and to promote and develop African boxing and bring stars through Africa and bring and give back to boxing in that way, and from there. Maybe from there, if I get one world champion, I get another one, and I don't know. I think for me, I never had a dad that was a boxing trainer that had a gym for me, or I never had like a family that set me up. So I think it took me all these years to set myself up, and I think now I'm ready. I'm 30 now. It took me all the years to set myself up, learn the game, run my business, have a gym, become good enough to sort of put guys in top fights. And now I'm 30 and I've got a good base. And I think now I'm not saying I'm only going to start working now, but I think now the next 10 years is something I'm really going to push for, and I've got goals, and I'm just going to have to keep working hard, and let's hope I can, those dreams come true.
That's epic, man. I think it's something came to mind now that I read years ago, and I've always stuck with me, and it's so true. It's people, they overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year, but they underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years.
100%
So,
very true.
Yeah.
It's just about being consistent, which is not is easier said than done. But I've been consistent since I was about 14.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I just got to keep doing what I'm doing.
And before you were involved in the Cape Town scene, boxing in Cape Town, and it wasn't really much of a.
No.
You've obviously developed that, and you've.
I think I've played a part in it. I think before me, there was a couple of champions from Cape Town. There were a couple of names in boxing in Cape Town that did bring champions to Cape Town. Not like Joburg, because there hasn't been the promoters that Joburg has. But the boxing's always has had its Cape Town has had its hidden gems. I think the last 10 years I've definitely contributed to it, I think someone needs to promote boxing in Cape Town and take charge, and I think that's what I want to do next.
I think if you carry on the current trajectory, it's bound to happen. So get a champion, and fully support you. So I'm keen to support you going forward. And
Thanks,
me and Tyler are definitely keen to come and get more involved. Sweet, man.
Awesome chat.
It's been epic, brother. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Darren.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Cool,
obviously, I'm getting this started, so it's cool to have.
Also, but what's so cool about me and you? We know each other so long, and you followed your dream as a pilot. You understand what it takes to be where you had to be. Now because of lockdown, you're not working. Now you've discovered another passion. And that's what life's about. Why do something you don't like? Why make somebody else money? Why you feel like you don't have the confidence to start your own thing? You're scared of what other people think. Who cares? Life's too short.
That's exactly it. It's fear. It's fear.
Exactly. We all fear. I fear it a lot. We all fear.
It's strange. I love podcasts for the last few years, and I've learned so much, much from podcasts. And in this lockdown, I was like going mad, and I was like, you doubt yourself. Like, I never thought I could have a podcast, and I don't.
Imagine.
I'm busy building one. I'm gonna build one.
100%.
And Tara said to me the one day, she was like, "You should start a podcast." And
Exactly.
I was like, "I'm nobody. I'm not gonna like. Why would I?" But I was like, I've read a lot, and I've looked into all the stuff, and it's like all the stuff is like you just got to start. Just start. I was like,
Just start, you know.
Just start, and this. I mean, yeah,
Exactly.
chatting to you it keeps me more motivated to carry on doing this. Thanks.
And you never know where it can take you, and if
Exactly.
you're passionate about something,
Yeah.
you know, what you know, do you know. If for me, it's not life's not about the money. You know, we all have to live. But if you can follow passion and you're content at the end of the day, and you leave something behind that you are passionate about, you don't want to work a 9-to-5 job and then you just never did something. You have that regret. You know?
Exactly. I don't want to reach the end of my life and be like, oh, I should have started that podcast. Or I should have tried that.
Exactly.
It's like,
you know?
I'll always regret not trying it. So it's
There we go. And
yeah.
for me, like even when I was younger, so many people were like working corporate jobs and they were making money, and I was like, what am I doing? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
You feel like you're left behind.
You're a
and
loser, bro. What are you doing? You're holding pads for people. Like,
yeah.
But I was like, no, this is what I love. I don't care what anyone else does. I love what I love, and I'm going to make the most of it. And now I'm 30 and I'm established, and I just hope I can just keep going, you know. Same with you, you know, that you do what you love, and we just got to keep pushing.
It's going to happen. It's just the mindset, and it's every limitation you have is what you put in yourself. So
It's a weird thing that
it is.
We like how we doubt ourselves.
Yeah, the more you break through, you're like, oh, it wasn't too bad.
Exactly.
Okay, let me do this. Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing about that, it's so easier said than done. You know, like you can, it's like, oh, I'll just, you know, but then you get to it, you're like, oh, this is. But those brave people that take the leap and take the step, you know, like when I opened my bigger gym, when I expanded 3-4 times bigger, 4 times the expenses, 4 times, like, I walked into that gym, I looked at it, I'm like, how am I going to fill this thing? I didn't sleep at night. And then now my gym is, it's, you know, but I put in the work, but, you know, at that time I was petrified, and now it's like, it's happening for me, you know? Yeah. So it's just about taking that step, you know, and those sleepless nights, that's what you got to do.
It will come, you just got to keep working at it.
100%.
It will come,
Exactly.
That's it, bro. Awesome. Let's end it off there. I think this has been a fucking awesome conversation.
Awesome,
so thanks for joining me, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Brother. Awesome.
Yeah, man. This is very cool. I'll put it off there.